So the celiac trunk is probably going to be a bit of a challenge. So we'll try extruding that. Now the trunk itself isn't really very long, and it's going to have to split into three different faces. So I think what we might do is get that, just leave a little short trunk like that, and then get the multi-cut tool and again using an orthographic window. See, this is at an angle right now, so I'm going to rotate that so it's really more perpendicular to that, truly facing anteriorly. Now I can rotate or drag and parallel that, and that should give me, or I think I have to have the object selected. Has to be, seems like it has to be in object mode before we'll let you do that. Nope, no. Object. Cut. Oh, son of a gun, look. Did it over here like 3 times, but not where I wanted it to, because somehow I have that face selected. So let's try it again. Should be able to just, there we go. I don't know why it's giving me a hard time. So can I make basically 3 faces then out of this? So if I grab that front face, scale it down a little bit, can I maybe move it forward a little bit? I take this face, extrude it, and create the splenic artery. And again, we'll just bring it out a little ways, maybe add some divisions to it. Right now it's on the numbers. Drag, create some divisions. Common hepatic, we'll again extrude it. So I hit the letter G to repeat the operation. And oops, add some divisions here by right mousing on top of that. And then the left gastric I'm going to bring out from the top. Yeah, my anatomy serves me right. Oh, shucks. The left gastric is smallest of these, and so I'm going to make that a little smaller. Splenic has really a incredibly, you see angiograms, it's got an incredible tortuous path. So what I want to do is I want to make this feel more triangular. I don't want to make it quite so perpendicular, more like a, it almost feels like girders or some type of, again, mechanical. Even with the smooth, you can see it kind of looks pipe-like. To try to make this work a little better, I'm going to take this face, scale it, and let me see, can I take this edge, scale it down a little bit, okay, and maybe take that edge, scale it in a little bit. Let's take some of this, okay, back here. These edges are a little taller, so let's, oops, back this one. Let's shrink it a little bit so we can get this vessel feel a little squarer. Maybe take all of them now. I'm double clicking, and I'll have to shift click, hit these 4 at the end, and now scale that so it's a little square, and then maybe just take this face, just a soft select a little bit, it's a little too aggressive there. A little bit more aggressive. Okay. Down a little bit. Take this edge and start to rotate it around a little bit. Sort of kind of get a little bit of a twist and turn in there, so it isn't quite so mechanical. And you can play with that later, but that's the way I would approach it. Then I think you want to adjust maybe this edge. So again, the left gashet's got to come. Let's change this to object so it's a little more perpendicular. But I know that it's got to reach a little bit anterior. Let's just take faces and then again be a little more aggressive with that soft select and rotate the whole thing and move it out and down. Sorry. I'm going to change this orthographic to my front. See, I think what I'll do is just grab the tip now, move that down a little further and rotate it a little bit. So you have to be careful that you don't get like too stretched. This is where your UV map's going to distort. See how like it's quite a stretch here. So what I can do is maybe grab this edge, turn off the soft select, and I want to move it along this path. Now if I try to use, regardless of what type of move setting I use, whether I say component or object or world, when I try to move, see it's going to change that shape a little bit. And that might be okay. If I don't want to change the shape, there's another tool we haven't talked about much called this mesh tool called the slide edge. So I can slide the edge by doing what the instructions say, middle mouse, and drag it. Good. Put it on one, see if I can do it that way. So what it should do is slide it up, but it's not letting me do that. Let's see if I can grab it from this. No. Usually that works. What it should do is actually move it along that edge without changing the shape. For some reason it's not giving me that result right now. So I'll just do it by eye and then maybe turn it a little bit. And then add another edge loop down here. So like a little more gradual turn. So you want to think about it as like trying to, I don't know if you ever tried to bend a hollow pipe. You know, it kinks if you bend it too fast. You have to kind of go slow. And you want to think about it the same way when you're doing these vessels. You want to have enough edges and a gradual enough transition in the way the edges angle or rotate so that you don't get a kink or a pinch in the line or in the vessel. And even with this, I still may want to close the base of that celiac a little bit. Of course, once I do that, I got to adjust everything else. Just feels a little big to me. I would say the splenic is really the longest of the 3 branches. I think it's also the biggest. But we could look at an angiogram, like I said. It's quite convoluted. It's really beautiful, the way the splenic gets out this way. So we're not going to be able to get that subtle with it, but we can certainly grab some edges and maybe move things around a little bit, both move and in several planes, and even rotate a little bit, just to kind of get that transition. Now, if I had been smart, probably would have held off on doing that until after I made it. Sometimes it helps to wait till you get this edge the way you want it, but let's see. So I'm going to go back to number 1. Now, talked about the other. See how it's kind of really large, this back wall. So let's take these edges. So what I was trying to say is I probably should have gotten this a little more symmetrical before I did that rotation, just to make life a little easier. Let's see now, closer to square, which is okay. So I'll grab that face, and we'll do the same thing we did before. First, undo that for a second. Move down, grab the face, extrude. It's really tough. See how it kind of sunk in there? I don't want it to sink in, but it did automatically almost. So maybe I'll move it back out a little bit. Okay, and now I'll extrude it one more time. See, because I did this kind of little magical rotation here, I'm going to extrude it one more time and move it back in even further so that I can parallel. And just double check I'm not poking through. Maybe take this edge, this feels a little big. Okay, so again, now we've got our vessel. We don't have the edge we quite want yet, the thickness, if you will. So let's see if we can use the multi-cut tool. Let's see if I can first get box, multi-cut. Okay. Now it gave me, inside and out. Now I can adjust that a little bit if I want. Grab the inside one. Grab this one. Kind of make that a little more pronounced. Okay. Oops, see a little error here where the that edge I pushed inside is pulling. Okay, poking through. You just have to move the edge so it doesn't come through the wall. All right, so that's again, it's a little stiff still. I might want to play more with, adjusting, maybe making this edge here and its complement over on the other side there. This edge and this edge. I'm going to scale them so when I have two of them, it's going to make them wider. Do the same thing with the base. Because it's really pretty short, the celiac chunk, but it's got to give rise to all three of these vessels, so it has to have a mass that begins to, at equals at least, or even a little bigger than those vessels. I'm going to try that trick one more time at the edge. Let me see if I grab this edge, slide edge. Yeah, see, now it's letting me do it. So I have the middle mouse, I'm sliding that edge. What it's doing is, opposed to the moving, it's staying exactly on that surface and moving as I slide it. It's going around. In other words, if I just move this, it's going to flatten the vessel wall. By using the middle mouse and slide, I'm going to keep on the cylinder so I can get my celiac chunk a little broader. So that's about, the extent we need to for those two vessels. superior mesenteric, and then the celiac trunk, the left gastric, common, hepatic, and splenic.